Hello, welcome to ANewz. Good evening, I'm Maria Rodriguez Abalde. A new era for Syria is beginning after Al-Assad removals. The rebels' lightning offensive during days was 13 years of civil war could not taking down also 50 years of Assad epoch. To discuss this historical situation, we have with us two guests, two political experts from Spain, Mr. Carlos Uriarte. Good evening.
Good evening.
And also Mr. Kamal Al-Sami from Lebanon. Thanks for joining us also.
Thank you for having me.
Kamal and Carlos, first of all, and the main question, what is next?
Well, first of all, as you mentioned, the force of Assad's criminal regime is a historical. But now, next step must be to preserve real legacy, independent sovereignty, and the state institutions, and reject all form of extremism. In this regard, it is very important to keep one stable Syria, to don't create any problem in the not only just in Syria but in the whole region. And in this regard, it's important to preserve the rights of the civilians, protect the minorities, protect also the cultural heritage, to try to achieve orderly, peaceful, and inclusive solution.
Yeah, Mr. Kamal, do you think that stability is possible?
Well, to start off, I think all the rebel factions that were part of this whole struggle, essentially, do know for a fact that they need to start working in politics. They need to start building relations. War right now is not good after finishing what was the previous government. But at the same time, something which they didn't want has happened. You know, Israel is attacking, maybe trying to create a buffer state, maybe even trying to capture more land on the pretense of a buffer zone. You know, so I think right now they're being faced with challenges that they never were ready for, but hopefully, you know, they can try to maneuver through it. Because as we've seen, the new command, you know, they're already trying to build up a new government. They're already trying to build up this transitional government, and the new heads essentially they don't want war. They are more than willing to sign contracts with a lot of the countries. Maybe not Israel because of their backgrounds and whatnot. But one thing's for sure, they can, you know, with their ability to reach a deal, peace has the higher probability than war.
Yeah, let's talk, because we cannot forget about the Astana process launched in January of 2017, refers to a series of peace talks to end this Syrian war. On Saturday, held an exceptional meeting in Doha. Can we expect, Mr. Uriarte, new negotiations through the same sponsors?
Well, I think that in this regard, in this Astana process, the sponsors mainly were Turkey, Russia, and I think also France,
Iran
if
also.
I'm not wrong. Yes, Iran also. I think that conversations, of course, they should be taken by all the actors of the region in order to assure not interferences in that part of the world. Because if they don't find any agreement, then it's going to be difficult to keep the territorial integrity and of Syria, and to keep the unity. Here we have one winner clearly after the collapse of Assad regime, which is Turkey. As well, Qatar is also one of the winners, and of course Israel, who is going to feel more safe, because now the support of Iran cannot use the territory of Syria to to give weapons to Hezbollah. These are the winners. And who are the losers? Assad, of course, the regime, and as well Russia and Iran. This is the reality. There are winners and there are losers. And of course, other winners are the citizens of Syria, no? That they have won, freedom and democracy. But now we need to manage this situation to keep the region stable and also to keep the unity in Syria. And of course, Russia has some concerns regarding Tartus and Latakia, the two bases, and because they are both bases strategic for them. And in this regard, Iran has lost a strong ally in Syria. And now is weaker the situation for them in the Middle East, for Iran and for Russia. This is the reality. How they are going to react? I hope that they react in a positive way, especially Russians. And any compromise, of course, it can be achieved to guarantee maybe that these two bases they still keep under Russian control. This can be one of the compromises good for Russia, and for Iran. I see in this moment Iran quite weak to try to impose anything in Syria, especially if we take into consideration the new Trump's administration and the situation also among Iran and Israel, when also the winner in this situation is Israel, if we take all the achievements that he has done, face Hamas, also in Lebanon face Hezbollah, then both Russia and Iran, they should try to play a constructive way, because the reality is that Al-Assad regime has collapsed, and that Syria must keeps unity, and minorities and citizens' rights, they should be respected. And of course, what we must avoid is the extremism in Syria, that Syria could fall in an extremism wave. This is something that all the different actors, they must work together to avoid this, to keep the territorial integrity of Syria, the stability there, protect the minorities, Christian minorities and other minorities, and avoid a wave of extremism in Syria that even could be spread in other parts of the region.
Too much time. Not to lose the last concept, I would like to ask to Mr. Kamal. United Nations Security Resolution and the 22.54 calls for a ceasefire, a political negotiations, and a transitional governing body leading to new free elections in Syria. Will be those ones maybe too many expectations?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Yeah, I was remembering the United Nations Security Resolution, the 22.54 calls for a ceasefire, also for political negotiations, a transitional governing body leading to a new free elections for Syria. My question to you is, maybe there are many expectations for the new era of Syria.
Okay, well, First things first. I mean, I think what the newer rulers of Syria have done is a rather nice sign. It's a sign that it shows to the world that we don't plan on taking power for ourselves. They named the new government the Syrian Transitional Government, so it's for transitioning and transitioning alone. You know, it's not there to stay. It's not there to be permanent. And I think the thing that we saw from before that, in which the previous prime minister of Syria, who had defected from the Syrian government, the Assad government, that is, how the rebels actually dealt with him, and they kept him in his place, said, you need to run over all the ministries, you need to run over the entire government, don't let anything stop, keep it running until we can make a transitional government. So they're not here to like take power as soon as possible. They know it's a large responsibility. They know that it is not for them to rob money, essentially. It's harder for them nowadays, and they don't want that anyways. So they're here to keep it as legal as possible, as legitimate as possible, as rightful as possible for the Syrian people, to help them out. You know, it was named the Syrian Transitional Government, not the permanent government. This isn't the new government for everyone. I think what they've done is that they've learned from past mistakes. They've learned from past experiences in other countries. For example, how the Libyan revolution came out, in which after it was done, immediately one group wanted to rule over Libya, and then another one said, no, hold on, we deserve it more, and then an entire civil war blew out. They're trying to keep themselves as inclusive as possible to everyone. And this current stage right now shouldn't be the permanent stage. They didn't say it was the permanent stage. They said it's a transitional stage.
Also, we cannot forget about the thousands of refugees all over the world. It's too early to think that they maybe will come back to their country yet. What do you think about it, Mr. Uriarte?
Sorry, could you repeat again the question?
Yeah, I was talking about all the refugees around the world. Maybe it's too early to think that they are going to come back yet.
Well, I mean, it would be easier, especially for those who are in the neighbor countries. I mean, already many Syrian refugees and deployees, they are coming back from Lebanon to Syria, and I can imagine that from other countries from the region, it would be easier. However, of course, for those refugees who are in Canada, in the United States, or in Europe, it's going to be more difficult to come back to Syria from one day to another. But it's a process, and of course, all these refugees, they would have the right to come back to their homeland.
Yeah, Mr. Kalami, what do you think about it?
To achieve this,
Yeah, Mr. Kamal, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we were.
I thought you said a different name.
Yeah, no,
What
sorry.
do I think about the refugee thing?
Please.
Yeah, well, first of all, the refugee folder has been a huge folder in the vast majority of countries in the world. You know, especially for the Syrian refugees. You know, in Turkey, the president was decided on whoever handles the Syrian refugee the best. In Europe, across the entire European Union and England, it has been a big folder of worry, of protests from both the left and the right, in North America as well. So I think it's definitely a very good thing what's going on in Syria right now. And everyone should be cooperative. Everyone is open to be cooperative with what's going on, because the Assad regime didn't leave any friends for it back then. The current transitional government may try to open bridges with other governments from the European Union, from North America, to say we want our Syrians back. And the Syrian refugees on their own, you know, we're talking about 13 million, half the population left, but they still have connections to Syria. Those who left their houses, those who left their families, those who left their loved ones, those who left their businesses and whatnot. They all want to go back and to essentially pick up their lives that.
We have some technical problems. I don't know if Mr. Uriarte, can you help me?
yes, only.
Yeah, let's
was,
talk now about the international community that seeks stability in Syria after Assad overthrow. But have not they forgotten Syria in recent years? What do you think?
how it would be
Yeah, if
the
they,
situation.
no, if they did not forget about Syria those recent years, and now they're asking about seeks stability in the country.
Yes, it's true. I mean, if you think that in the last, after 13 years of civil war, now we have again on the table the issue of Syria. And we must remember that the whole international community has been concentrated in the war in Ukraine. And after that, also in the issue of Gaza. And now suddenly appears the issue of Syria. And it's true that the international community has forgotten so many refugees, millions of refugees at the border of Turkey, in Lebanon, in different European states, in North America, and so on, without doing anything. And it's true that now there is a huge duty and responsibility of the international community to give support to the new transition government of Syria to achieve the better solutions, not only just to keep the institutional order and the good working and the normal working of the institutions in Syria, but also to little by little to integrate and to help those refugees to come back to Syria. And this is something that not the transitional government, of course, can do alone, but need the full support of the international community, full support from the European Union, but all from other actors and other international organizations like the United Nations and so on.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Carlos Uriarte from Spain. We hope to talk with you very soon. Also to Mr. Al-Sami from Beirut. Thanks to you for watching ANewz.